Krsna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Here we are, Bhagavad-gita, here it is. Yes, we are reading Bhagavad-gita as it is. My name is Latika, and we are in the chapter 3, Karma Yoga, because that's the progression of the chapters of the Bhagavad-gita. First we have the introduction. In the second chapter, very much knowledge about the soul, about the practice of spiritual life. And then Arjuna has some questions. And Krishna is following up with, among others, this third chapter, Karma Yoga activities. So I am reading text 16. Evam pravartitang chakrang nanuvartyathihayaha aghayur indriya ramo moghang partha sajivati. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So yes, there are some strong words here. But living in vain kind of means you don't accomplish anything and then you die. So just spending the life with putting food in the mouth. I think there is a saying, we don't live to eat. We eat to live, we don't live to eat. And that goes for all of these activities of the senses. If we don't have a higher purpose in our life, especially as human beings, where we are able to have a higher purpose in life, we kind of wasted that life. And sin is a word. In Sanskrit you say papa and punya. All the activities in the material world, they have a reaction. And the pious activities, they give us a pious result. And the sinful, impious activities give us a sinful result that we carry with us. So it's, well, of course it's a value judgment, but it is also very practical. And therefore, in order to make the best use of this life, it is very good to have information about what is what, which activities will gain which results, what opportunities do we have, what choices are there. And then when we know these things, we can make the best informed choices. Purport. The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above-mentioned cycle of performing yagyas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specifically meant for self-realization in either of the three ways, namely karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yagyas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above-mentioned cycle of yagya performance. This is a very good explanation, actually, because this chapter is about karma yoga, and karma yoga mostly caters to those who have some desires in this world, but who also don't want to take unnecessary risks. And therefore, doing your yagyas, doing your pious punyas, that lifts you above the more dangerous risks and the more unwanted results from those activities, and then you create a certain balance in your life. So this is information for the person aiming in that direction, to live this life in a balanced way, enjoy what you want, but don't step over the line, so to say, and hopefully take some steps on the progressive path of self-realization also. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yagya system is planned in such a way that sensory that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reactions of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yagyas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagya, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagya one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral code. One should not, therefore, limit one's progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So this is why it's called karma yoga. It is mostly directed to persons on this level of karma, those who want to enjoy the activities of this world, but who at the same time want to stay within the codes of the Vedic culture, and who want to progress. There is the knowledge that if we just lean back and enjoy things as they come, whatever we want, there is a risk to that, because we understand that this world is a bigger context. There is karma, there are planets, there are demigods, there are lifetime after lifetime. So karma yoga means regulate your enjoyment, accept the knowledge of the Vedas, and in this way there is progress, but maybe not complete progress. But if you do less, if you just follow it as moral codes, it doesn't become very spiritual. And if you do more, if you start to apply yourself to spiritual development, spiritual realization, then you may not need to follow the detailed list of yagyas in that sense, because your activities will not be on that level. So karma yoga means to connect to the Supreme. To karma yoga is meant mostly for people who are desirous of that level of sense gratification, but also want to aim for the next step. I will read one more text here. Yastvatma ratireva syad atma triptas chamanavaha atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karyang na vidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Purport. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duties to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many, many thousands of yagya performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna-conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Yes. So, very good. We get to the next step here. We're reading about all this karma, yagya, rules, and we're wondering what's it all about. And it's there because Krishna loves us. And Krishna very realistically knows us. We are different. We will be on different levels. So we will need processes that apply on those different levels. But ultimately, the goal of all such processes, so you have that karma yoga. It's both karma and yoga. You want to be in the middle of all the activities, but you want to be able to take the next step towards connecting with the Supreme. But you can also go quicker if you want to. You can also aim directly for self-realization. And that's the problem we have in this world. People are saying, oh, why do we have so many religions? If religion works, then why isn't there just one religion? Well, maybe there's just one religion, but there's a lot of people who are very different, coming from different cultures, aiming on different levels. And in the Vedas, we find that the Vedas is not divided into different religions. everybody is a follower of the Vedas, but they will apply themselves on different levels to different processes. And the Bhagavad-gita aims to give us that complete knowledge and also take us even higher. Because we're going to read about karma yoga, we're going to read about transcendental knowledge, jnana, we're going to read about jnana yoga, meditation, and ultimately, how do they connect the yoga part? Because yoga nowadays is used as a kind of gymnastics. That's not what the word means. We look in the yoga shastras where you have these asanas, and they are very, they're very good. I'm not saying anything against yoga asanas, but calling the practice of just moving the body up and down, calling that yoga is a little bit of a misnomer, because yoga means connecting to the Supreme. And especially within the jnana yoga system that we will come to in another chapter. Then the asanas is part of it, because they calms down the mind, they take care of the body, and they slows down the breathing. They slow down the breathing so we can practice this yogic system that takes a little longer than a natural life. So they have their place, and even if we don't use them in connection with yoga, they are very healthy. They are, if you're going to do exercise, and I'm I'm 50 plus and I need to do exercises, then the yogic exercises are the best. But yoga means something else. Yoga means connecting to the Supreme. Yoga means self-realization. Yoga means the awakening of the original consciousness of the spirit soul. So karma yoga means in connection with regulating the activities. Jnana yoga means yoga in connection with knowledge, austerity, studying the Vedas. Jnana yoga means connecting to the Supreme through meditation. So the yoga part is the same, and the goal of yoga is to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's not a valid judgment to say different people will take different paths, because we need to. If we want to study, I think I said this before, if you want to study math, the first year you come to school, you learn to draw the numbers, and you learn to add them. 1 + 1 is 2. This is math. When you go to the university, you will have all sorts of levels of math that you can't even imagine in the first class. They are both math. And it's not a valid judgment that one person starts with learning the numbers and one is doing all kinds of equations and I don't even remember the names for all this math in English. It's just that one person has to start with the numbers. One person would be bored out of their head sitting and adding numbers. Their level of math is a different level, but it's all math. So here the yoga, it's all yoga. Depending on where you are, you start on your level and you understand it there. But Krishna makes a point here of mentioning that a Krishna conscious person, no longer interested in material activities, who doesn't take pleasure in material arrangements, doesn't have that sort of obligation. It doesn't mean that he gives up his level. It means those things that are regulated on the platform of karma yoga don't hold any attraction to such a person, so there is no need to regulate them. I take another verse. I think text 18. Naivatasya kritenartho na kriteneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashrayaha. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Purport. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and accept activities in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. Yeah, because that is the aim of all these yogas and all these prescribed duties and all these systems and structures, is to get to that point of self-realization, and self-realization means also realizing our position in existence, our relationship to the Supreme. And when you're on that level, just as with your math example, or even, well, I'm from Sweden, so we study Swedish as a subject. I am sure if you're in an English-speaking country, you study English. And on the first level, you have to learn to spell all the words. And this is very challenging and very difficult, and your tests are all about spelling. And then when you get to a higher level, you are writing essays. And the teacher may not even bother to correct the spelling, because the spelling is really not the point here. The point is to express ideas in a very lucid way. And then the first grade students may be a little envious. Look, he made a spelling mistake. I am so much better. But the point is, on that level, that becomes kind of irrelevant. So on the level of Krishna consciousness, we do not give up any of our regulations, but we don't need to pay so much attention to them because they become natural. Because there is no attraction to anything material, there is no risk of being entangled in the material existence, because our level of activity, our level of consciousness is directly connected in service to the Supreme Lord. So on whatever level we are studying or practicing, this will always remain the goal, but depending on where we are at present, we may practice these different processes. Of course, in this Kali Yuga, we are always recommending to take as much as possible immediately to Krishna consciousness. The meditation of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the association with other persons practicing Krishna consciousness, and studying of Bhagavad-gita, this we can apply at any level at all. And I'm very happy to be able to share a little bit of the wonders of the Bhagavad-gita here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.